Kia ora koutou Year 11s, it's Ms Mac. I'm just going to do a little revision guide, some tips for the business studies exam for you. And you can see I'm starting on Moodle. So my very first tip for you is to go to Moodle. You'll actually see one on the side there, YouTube video. So I'll update that and put the business studies tutorial videos. And also you can see when the tutorials are. Okay, look, today there's one at 8:45 with Mr. Moore. You might be there right now. And then there's going to be one on, I think it's at the same time. I'm not sure. Oh, I think that actually should be Monday. I'll change that. So that Mr. Tara one is actually on Monday. So have a scroll through. All right. And if you go down to topic 9, so you don't need to scroll down. I think when you open it, you can just click on topic 9. And it's operational problems for a small business. So my tip for you, you've got to revise. Open this up. All right, it's the business studies folder. Surely there would be help for you there, and there is. So you can see all the folders that relate to each operational problem. If you've got time and like you're really dedicated, you might want to go into each one and kind of summarize the key ideas for each problem. Yep, very helpful. There might be some things that could be quite helpful, but I would go to exam revision because you've got an exam and you need to study for it. So if we open it up, and what we can see here is my Coggle. All right, so this was our class one that we did. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have saved the work that you've done, which I think is a bit sad, but you can have a look at mine, and that will give you need to know, what do I need to know, like what content heavy straight away in a condensed form. You can have a look at that and kind of scroll around, play with it, and get what you need. You can also look at our wonderful Padlets. Some are quite good, others okay. Just what my students did was looked at the cause and consequences just generically for each of these operational problems. You will need the password though. So that might be helpful. Otherwise, have a look at these resources. So you could use these alongside my videos, or you don't need to watch my videos. You listen to it now. These are some resources to help you. You've got the 2011 resource booklet, just that match with, I think, one of the questions that we've done here. I think it's business restructuring, perhaps. You've got a guide on terms of like what are you expected to know. So the content. This is the exam that we went over in the Thursday tutorial. You can find the answers on NZQA. And this is the exam that I went through yesterday. Again, you can find the answers on NZQA. The difference is that these two files have the resources and the questions mixed. What I'd just like to go over with you quickly is this idea about definitions. So this is something like a blank template that I tried to get my students to do in class, and this is the answers here. So if I just flick to it, this is what it is. So it's just about, with business studies, the content isn't like really technical, difficult, like economics, where you've got to know specific terms. There is a bit of that, but not a lot. It's more about putting yourself in the shoes of someone who's in business and trying to think about what would they do, how are they going to be affected. So one of the things that we think is kind of a key skill and something that will help you with the exam is understanding what the question is asking you to do. So being able to interpret the question and see, what does this mean? So I recommend that you have a wee look at this if you haven't already, and just understand what's meant by a cause. So very briefly, I'm not going to read out all those questions. What led up to this situation? Why did this happen? What was going on? Right? It's not specifically, they hired the wrong person. We'll think, why have they acted in this way? A consequence, I think most people get pretty well, but in terms of, it's got to be something that is going to happen. It can be good or bad. And then, it's going to have an effect on the business. All right. So something that will happen, an impact is another word for consequence, good or bad. Most of you get that. So I just go to solution. Key thing with solution is it should fix the problem. Like, obviously there are some things that you, like workplace incidents, you can only try and prevent. You can't necessarily, or production disruption, you can't stop an earthquake. But we're looking at things that can try and mitigate or kind of deal with, or try and give you, if an earthquake, you can prepare for it. You can't necessarily stop it. But solutions should fix the problem. They shouldn't make it worse, and they shouldn't allow it to continue, especially like recruitment issues and bad debts. They shouldn't make the situation continue. So you can have a wee look there, but I'll just draw your eye to something that is usually at least one question, and you're usually asked to give an immediate solution or a short-term solution, and then you have to give a long-term solution. And so usually this type of question is looking at something that's not easy to solve, or it's going to be quite expensive, or it's going to take a while to be able to put in place, perhaps. So you need to come up with something that they're going to do straight away or in the short term, something that will not fix the problem, and so you need to explain that. So when you say this is a short-term solution, you'll need to tell us why it's the short-term solution. You'd need to give hint that you'd follow up with something else. I like the word breathing space. For a lot of the businesses we look at, they're quite small, so they don't have time to do a lot of things. They've got a lot on, to do in the business. So sometimes this just gives them a little bit of room to sort of put something in place that will kind of help in the interim, maybe try and deal with some of those negative consequences. Like you've got something, workers are overtired, that type of thing, or something that's going to help with that. It isn't going to fix it, but it could help in the meantime and just give you breathing space to try and find a long-term solution, especially if you're looking at something like recruitment that would take a long time. So you're going to need time to be able to do it. It might be about saving up money to buy some new machines, some new capital. It gives you time to do that. Whereas the long term is it actually needs to solve the problem, or in terms of production disruption, kind of minimize the risk, that type of thing. So with the long term, it should solve it. And if you ask for like the better solution, all right, and you've got two, your better solution, when you talk about the long-term consequence of it, steer away from negative things. Like you might point out, like it might cost a lot, that kind of thing. That's fine. But if it's a better solution, it should have a positive consequence to the business in the long run, not like a negative. It shouldn't ruin things and make things worse. So I've kind of got these ideas here. I'd recommend you have a wee look at this. Up to you though. I'm not, you've got your own time and you need to work out what to do. So the last thing I'll do is just a word about the exam. So this is what I'm going to go over in the next couple of videos. This is the 2017 exam. You come in, you've got two booklets. One's the resource booklet and one's the question and answer booklet. You've got 3 hours, so I strongly encourage people to take some reading time. So take, 5-10 minutes when they say start to read through the questions, look at what the problems are that they're asking you to show an understanding of. Look at, are you going to give consequences? What you got to look for a cause, solution. So what are they asking you to do? Have a really, really good look. Read in the question answer book any information about the business, any little side stories, that sort of thing. All right, and then go to the resource booklet. You get to take this out of the room. All right, you can't take the question answer booklet. With the resource booklet, this is 2017, have a really good read of it. The first resource should set the scene. What kind of business are you looking at here? So kind of get that clear in your head. What's the business? What do they do? Who owns it? Usually it's just one person, owner, operator. Who's the staff? What are they? Is there more than one product? Where do they get their revenue from? What other resources might they use in the business? And then what kind of operational problems are they talking about? All right. So what is indicated? You should already know from the question booklet what they're going to ask. Look for your causes. See if you can find any solutions. Not in this one, but in 2016, the one about recruitment, there was solutions given there. So take your time to really use the resource booklet, highlight it, annotate it, and then go to the question answer booklet and don't answer it necessarily in order, 1, 2, 3. I would choose the question that perhaps you feel most strong. Be kind of like strategic. Either go for the question that you really know, I'm going to nail this, and answer that first, and then go in order of to what you least understand. Or you could tackle the really tricky one first and end with the question that you're most strong on. Okay, so try and maybe have a bit of strategy. Don't feel like you have to answer the questions in order of 1, 2, 3. Otherwise, good luck and do study. It will pay off, and then you can go have some fun afterwards. See you later. Ngā te wā.